welcome to Tanked Up, the podcast all about craft beer and video games. I'm your host Aadil, and I'm joined by Lucy.
Hello.
And that's
Hello,
it. It's just the two of
hello.
us.
We
Uh,
can make it if we try.
yep,
Mhm.
classic. Yeah. So it's
Roll with us.
we're Benless for this episode. But those of you on Twitch, you might get a Ben in the recording of the second episode. But let's just crack on with some beers. Lucy, what do you got for us?
I have a West Coast IPA from Pollys. It's called Island in the Sun. It's 5.7%. Let's have a look if I can see any hops that they put in it. No, just oats. Pollys tend to use oats in a lot of their beers. Wheat hops doesn't exactly say any specific one, so yeah, it's just a West Coast IPA, I guess.
Nice.
Holly's crank out so many beers. I'd be surprised if they had the time to
Fancily name
do the
things.
whole like tasting notes and stuff like that, flavor text. So yeah, I don't think there's anything on this.
We also, I feel like the past year and a half, 2 years, we've had a drop in flavor text as well. Like
Yeah,
it used to be,
across the
we
board.
half the episode would be us reading the novels that the brewers put on the tins, and now I often find that it's like one of our six beers.
Yeah, that's why
or
the other week when you read out yours, that was very flowery language. It was like a
oh yeah, what was I don't remember.
poem.
Yeah, I can't remember which one that was. It was like on
Yeah,
the notion of drinking beer itself, let alone the beer that was
yeah,
on in front.
yeah,
Yeah,
yeah.
yeah.
Can't remember which one it was. It
I
wasn't
can't
the
either.
Brewery de Molin, or was it? It wasn't that one, was it? I don't
No,
think
I
it
don't
was.
think
That
so.
doesn't sound like their style. They have flavor text, but not something that's written like Chaucer or whatever.
Yeah,
But yeah. But as I say, they crank out so many of these beers. It's like,
but
how would you keep track?
yeah, it's consistent quality, which is
Oh yeah, yeah,
surprising. Uh,
yeah. They haven't dropped it. That's for sure. And these are like how it used to be like Cloudwater and stuff like that. I barely see Cloudwater these days. In the places that I
yeah,
frequent, but it
they
seems like Polly's has taken that kind of role
yeah. I
in
only
my life
wish
anyway.
that Polly's did more of the weird experimental stuff that Cloudwater did.
Yeah, a lot
Um,
of IPAs and not a lot else. To be fair,
yeah, I mean,
I
and
mean
they're
it's the Westie, so
yeah, and it's
but
a good variety. But
mhm,
yeah, anyway, I on the other hand am still getting through the Garden Brewery collab series,
mhm.
and the one I picked today is Var Var, our friends from the Ukraine. And the original design was based on natural rewilding in Ukraine. This no longer feels appropriate. That's not me saying that. That's so. Just a reminder for those of you who weren't here last week. The Restore. This is a collab that Garden Brewery is doing with 17 breweries in 17 countries, and it's the Restore Our Earth collab. Fest is raising awareness and funds for environmental initiatives focusing on impact, not headlines. Forest conservation, education, climate resistant communities, marine conservations, reimagine carbon, food, and agriculture. And obviously, natural rewilding in Ukraine is going to happen.
Mhm.
And I get why they wanted to highlight that doesn't feel appropriate, but this is what Var Var and them started out to do.
Mhm.
It's the oak aged vanilla and chocolate porter. 5.5%. The malts are Pale Ale Munich Type 2, Cara Munich 1, Cara Munich 3, Special W, Carafa 1, Carafa Special 3, Oak Flakes, the hops are Flex, and the yeast is AY4 with cacao nibs, cocoa powder, oak, vanilla extract as adjuncts. Speaking of actually putting all the information on the tin, but while I crack this and pour, tell me what your polys.
Yeah, I've already had a sip of it because it just smelt so great just right out the can. Like it's got a very oh yeah, like deep caramel, like very moorish, very malty smell to it. you could smell that, like, it's probably about a foot away from me. I can just still smell it, and yeah, just slight bits of like fruit, sort of like hot stewed apple, that kind of smell, and
Ooh.
just roasty and moorish, and a little earthy. It's got a nice colour to it. What you'd expect for a West Coast IPA, just not quite amber, like deep orange. But yeah, it smells divine. Taste wise, I think this is the best West Coast IPA I've had in a very long time. I know they've seen a resurgence, especially this year, but
Wow, that's quite the.
yeah, even beyond this year, this is one of the best like West Coast IPAs I've had in a very long time.
Now I can't
It
remember if we
reminds me of
had many at the craft brewery festival the other week.
I
I don't.
think I might have had one or two. It's definitely a style that's come back
Hmm.
with a bit of a swing in this latest year. I mean, because what 5 years ago, that's really what it was. But then the New England IPA took over, and it sort of
Hmm.
like swung back around. But yeah, this is one of the best I've had in ages. Like, maybe it's because I haven't had. Maybe it's because it's been such a long gap
Hmm.
between when West Coast IPAs were more of a thing, and now it only seems like the trend has started to go back upwards. But yeah, this is so good. I think it's those oats. I think it's
Hmm.
because a lot of this is very bitter. So I mean, if you like
I-
very bitter beers, which I do, um, it's very good for that. If you don't, well, this might be
Too much.
too much. Yeah. Now, what would be helpful if they put the IBU on the can? But if we're not even getting the hops, I don't think we're going to get the
Oh, fair enough.
IBU. But yeah, it's really bitter. But I think sometimes when beers are like really bitter, sometimes it tastes like they have a really hard finish
Hmm.
and very very abrupt and not quite acrid, but very harsh. Sometimes when they're very bitter, but I think the oats just smooth and round off that the end of the taste, and it's not abrupt or jolting
Right.
that bitterness, even though it is very bitter. Um, you're still getting a bit of the fruit at the at the front end of the taste, but it really has a really long lasting bitterness,
Oh, that sounds.
mainly
That
to it.
does sound gorgeous. I'm
Hmm.
salivating despite having a beer in front of me.
Yeah, but even with that bitterness, as I say, it's rounded off and it's still refreshing. Like, don't feel compelled to take another sip, not only because it's like got the long lasting bitterness taste, but also because it is thirst quenching at the same time. And yeah, it's got a nice deep earthiness to it as well,
Ooh,
which
probably goes well with
um
that the thicker mouthfeel from the oats as well.
yeah, yeah, absolutely. Just a really good mouthfeel from those oats, and yeah, it's got a nice bit of body to it. Um, yeah, it's a really good IPA. Sorry, not IPA. Well, West
I
Coast
mean, yeah,
IPA.
but
Yeah, I might have to pick up some more of
Mhm.
these.
What was it called again?
It's called Island in the Sun.
Right.
It's got a nice can art, like some tropical
Sort of
plant
palm or
fronds.
ferns, yeah.
Yeah, but yeah, that's a good one. Like, yeah, I mean, I just when I go to the shop, it's like pollys. Yeah, I'll just pick that up. It doesn't. I know it's going to taste good, but
Yeah, they're just one of those
never in
breweries.
my yeah. You know, usually it's like okay, I drink it, I enjoy it. Not really going to be well. Not usually. It's going to be something that it's like, oh yeah, I'll remember this one. I'll write this one down. This one for sure for a West Coast IPA. That's fantastic. I
Excellent.
really like that. God damn it, I want more.
I mean, finish that one first.
No, need to run to the shop right now.
uh,
Pick
I
some
definitely
more up
get that.
before they stop brewing this one. They probably already stopped brewing it. They probably just one batch and moved on to
Yeah,
their
that does
other
seem to be what
other beers.
they tend to do as well, right?
Mhm.
Which all the power, right? I get it.
Yeah. Yeah.
This is why we see such good churn, but that's also why you end up getting really quality beers from them because they're not ever sitting on their laurels.
Yeah.
Um,
Oh, it's so good. I want to
like
have like smell-o-vision, but
taste of smell vision.
taste-o-vision. Yeah,
Yeah.
it's really good.
Oh yeah, I'm super jealous. But let me see how what I've got compares. So this is exactly what you'd
Hmm.
think. 5.5%. I like that they've got oats in here for the same reason that we usually find lower ABV stouts and porters tend to have that you notice that thinness to the mouth
Yeah.
texture. So having oats as the main malt or one of the malts, just one of them, oat flakes. Yeah, so that's probably just thickening. I'm guessing. It smells luxurious, almost sickly sweet. You get the cacao nib
Mm.
off of it, and a hint of the vanilla. It said oak vanilla extract and oak aged vanilla. I don't know what oak aged vanilla is, if I'm honest. Are you putting vanilla
Oak
pods in
aged
a
vanilla
tree?
in a whiskey barrel and swirling it around.
Yeah, like I know what oak aged is, and I know what vanilla
Yeah.
is, but I don't.
Um,
You can look it
aged
up, I
vanilla
guess.
pods. I guess you can.
Yeah.
Aged vanilla.
While you look that up, I will. Yeah, this nose is really excellent. It poured with minimal head, and just got a thin layer on top, nice and dark. Oh, that is rich. Ooh, that first sip was really really good. Really nice light sweet finish, and then burnt coffee undertones kick in like 5 seconds later. There's this lovely moment of sweetness before you get the more standard portery finish.
Hmm.
Let's see what. Mm. So I don't know all of these malts, but they are all doing a symphony together. This is a very
Yeah.
complex but simple beer in the sense of I can't tell. No, you normally you can pick out. Oh yeah, it's this type of malt, or like the malts are doing this. The malts are kind of doing a lot, but it's really letting this, like I said, this sweetness that sits on top. Again, it's still a very robust beer, but the sweetness, and I think being heightened by that vanilla, however it's aged, um, is really helping. Like, just give this a really light feeling, yet being full bodied. I don't know how to explain
Hmm.
it. Like, the mouth feel is a little thin, but again, those oat flakes are doing something. The initial taste, and even up until, like I said, the beginning of the finish, has just got this light sweetness, which sort of makes you think, oh, this is not so bad. And then you notice that you've kind of been distracted by it because it has this full bodied, um, I would say lightly roasted cacao, sort of more chocolate than coffee, just a
Hmm.
little burnt, and I think that's what's giving it more of that sweetness. Um, it is that it's more chocolate than coffee, and well, I've been having a lot of sort of very roasted stouts in the dark beers lately, and this is like kind of light in comparison. It's still a dark
Yeah.
beer, it still has body and volume, but because it's leaning into that chocolate and that vanilla is sort of making it feel even sweeter, it's like this full body that like it's got this full body, but it's not like, oh yeah, I am having this big burst of strong campfirey, flavor. It's really quite delicate yet full. And like I said, the fact that that vanilla sweetness lasts throughout until like 5-10 seconds into the finish, where it starts to get overtaken by the malts, which are only slightly roasted, but more. I don't know how to describe it. It's just like a full-bodied malt. This is really interesting. Yeah, it on the one hand it feels like, ah, yes, a porter. It's been a rainy day, great. On the other hand, it's like, ah, I could kind of have this in nicer weather because it's just thin enough in the
Yeah.
mouthfeel and just light enough and sweet enough throughout most of the taste curve that you can hand it to someone who doesn't necessarily like darker beers, and they'd be like, oh,
Well, you said it. What? 5.5%.
mm-hmm.
Yeah. Oh, I found out what uh oak age vanilla is. It's basically getting vanilla extracts and then just putting a oak spiral into it, and then
Oh, okay, so it's literally vanilla Aged in oak.
aged, yeah,
Yeah.
with oak infused into it,
Ah,
from the spiral or stave as they call it. So yeah.
cool.
hmm
Yeah, I think that's might be. I mean, I kind of really would like to know more about all these malts just to see what else, like which parts of the taste they're doing things. But this is really
Mm.
excellent. Like I said, easy to drink, but like not simple.
Yeah.
Ah.
Sure.
So anyway, what have you been playing, Lucy?
You know what I've been playing. I've been playing
But to the
Neon White.
viewers.
We don't care about them.
Yeah, Lucy. Lucy
um,
said the viewers.
viewers, I've been playing Neon White. And listeners, don't forget them.
Yeah, I feel like they view us in spirit.
They view,
Audience. That's
they
the
view, yes, well,
format
that's the
neutral term.
catch-all.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, Neon White, which, if you don't know, now you know.
So I'm really looking forward to
Is
you telling me what type of game it is.
I'd call it a first-person action platformer.
Would you call it a platformer puzzler or an
Yeah,
act?
yeah, yeah. I'd call it.
Because that's like the that's what
Yeah,
I was curious about, is whether you would highlight the puzzling, because I mean I haven't played it, but I've heard and read a bunch about it, and
yeah.
the yeah, I mean you can tell us about
I
it.
guess it more is, a puzzler rather than, because the action is not like dynamic. It's more, you know okay, elevator pitches. It's a first person platforming game where you're flying through these levels. They're very quick, snappy levels. Like most of them, just normal timing can be done in under 30 seconds. Um, the game's a lot about score chasing. There's friend leaderboards, it's global leaderboards, so there's that. But the aim of the game is like it's very fast. It's quick paced. The aim is to get through the levels as quick as possible. There are 4 different tiers of medals. Uh, obviously bronze, silver, and gold, and then the top one is called the Ace medal. It's sort of like your S tier kind of
Weird. I wonder
ranking.
why they went with not S tier. Oh, is
I
it
don't
because
know,
of
or
cards?
platinum or something like that.
Is it Ace
I don't
like
know.
Ace of Spades? Because
No, it's
okay,
just Ace.
fair.
Yeah. So it's a first-person platforming game, and you're the whole USP of it, I guess, is that you have these cards. You pick up weapons on the way, going through like these mini gauntlets, these mini platforming gauntlets, and you pick up these cards, which each card represents a different weapon. So, yellow cards represents pistol, turquoisey, teal cards represent a rocket launcher, like purple cards represent assault rifles and stuff like that. And the like the whole card-based kind of weapon system is okay. You can use the weapon as in a traditional weapon, like, so okay, so the pistol, it fires off like very slow, one shot at a time. The rocket launcher obviously launches rockets and stuff like that.
Is it
But
unlimited
every
ammo,
card,
or do you have
no,
to
no,
reload?
no. Sometimes you can pick up other cards that replenish your ammo, but
Right.
it is finite. So it's like if you unload a clip of like your uh machine gun, that's it. The card disappears if you use it all.
Aha.
But the clever thing about it is that each card has a kind of um, has another use. So if you burn the card, which is a separate button, if you just like, okay, I've I can use the card as a machine gun to mow down enemies, but each card has a kind of like sub option. Whereas if you burn the card, it gives you another ability. So if I burn the pistol card, it gives me a double jump. If I burn the rocket launcher, it will it turns into a grapple, and it grapples me over to, these like these points which I can grapple to. If you burn the card, that means you use it and then it's gone, rather than use it as a traditional weapon and
So
using it until the ammo depletes.
so you can kind
So
of use all but one ammo and then special move to maximize the
yeah,
card.
yeah,
Right.
yeah. So I can say shoot an enemy with my um, rocket launcher. Say I've got like three rockets in this launcher. I can use 1, 2, and then burn the card, and that will use the grapple. So yeah, it's all this. I guess you could call it like asset management or whatever you want.
I mean, I think it's just resource management in general, right? Like,
resource management rather. Not asset.
I mean, same.
That's something different. Well, I think I'm talking about finance now, and
Oh no.
that's boring. But anyway, that's not fun at all. Unlike neon white, but yeah, it's all about resource management. It's very fast paced, so it's like the levels are designed in a way, and the order that you pick up cards is fluid and so well designed that you're not having to think too much about, okay, which card should I use now? Which weapon should I use now? Which card should I burn? It's usually you're playing through the level, and the order that you pick up in the cards is the order that you should use them.
Oh,
It's
so
not
so
like
it's like, yeah. There isn't
Mhm.
a like puzzly optimize.
There is.
So I was just say, on the face of it, to just pass the level,
Mhm.
it's
Yeah.
now. How far in the game have you finished it? Are you
Um,
halfway ish?
I think I'm in the last third of it.
Okay.
So there are different sets of missions. I don't know if there's about 12 missions or something like that. I think I've just wrapped up mission 8,
Okay.
moving on to mission 9. There's not much left.
I was just asking because sometimes games, they feed you the answer for the first like third, and then they start making you work. But it sounds like the
No,
basics
yeah,
of the level is just always going to be like,
yeah,
hey, it'll
yeah.
be okay.
Like when I spoke to you and the rest of the Discord channel about the game when I was early on, I was saying it's not about challenge on the surface, as you say. It's more I'm zipping through these levels. It's a breeze, to be honest, and it's like, okay, I'm enjoying this. The levels are laid out in a way where it's like I don't have to do a lot of switching, a lot of thinking. It's just basically, do I have the ability to pull this off?
Hmm.
I don't really have to think about um, having to pick up these cards or how to, which ones to switch and stuff like that. It's more, can you, implement what the game wants you to do? Can you get through the level? It's not really about challenge. The challenge comes in when it's usually it's on yourself basically. The game doesn't ask you to optimize routes or anything like that. It's pretty straightforward to get from A to B and finish a level.
Right.
To progress to um, other missions and stuff like that, you need a gold medal minimum to rank up. There's this ranking systems, and every time you get a gold medal, you rank up. Um, and in order to get a gold medal, it's like usually I get a gold medal on my first run anyway, so
Okay.
it's not challenging. The times that you can do it links it ranks all the different times for the different medals, and it's usually you're coming in multiple seconds, like maybe 5, 3, 4 seconds below at least silver.
Right.
So it's usually okay if you don't get gold on your first run, you're gonna get it on your second run because it's not that hard.
Right.
The I guess the challenge and the fun in it comes in you wanting to just continually get better and shave seconds off your time look at the global leaderboards if you want to. I'm not too fussed about that. I'm more just like, okay, I know I can do this quicker. I know
Right.
that I can do this better. I want to do it because of that. And yeah, the game even gives you like hints
I was gonna ask about
to
that
show
because
you the optimal route.
yeah,
And I was like, I don't like this. Can I turn it off? And I had to like look on Reddit to see how to turn it off. It's maybe I'm just dumb because it's just like, okay, on the like summary at the end of the screen you can like turn off like show hints and stuff like that. I just didn't see that, but I wish
I
that was highlighted a bit
yeah, I
more.
was gonna,
But
that happens to me all the time in games, and
mhm,
and it's like just because it's there doesn't mean it's like functionally
yeah,
seeable.
yeah. And it's like so, but lucky enough I found it early enough after like a mission or two, and I was like, I want to, the enjoyment I'm getting out of this is
Like
doing the routing and
yeah,
finding the
exploring and
optimal.
figuring it out yourself, right?
Yeah, and that's where, like, okay, I might have to use cards out of orders. I might have to use a different ability on the card. I might have to burn a card instead of using it on a weapon, or vice versa. And that's where it's still very intuitive, like the order that you pick up cards. But that is where the resource management
Right.
and
And
skill and implementation come into play a bit more. Yeah,
right, so it's like, hey, if you just pick up the cards and use the cards, you'll get through, and if you do that, without
yeah,
flubbing much, you'll get gold. That's kind of the. But then to
yeah,
to
yeah.
to do the ace or just to beat that goldish time frame, you're gonna have to laterally think or try different things, or maybe go. I presume there's got to be some weird shortcuts and stuff that you can
Yeah,
figure out in
yeah.
the maps and stuff, right?
Precisely, yeah. And I'm probably using the shortcuts that most people know. I'm sure there's insane ways because the movement and the physics in this game, there's a lot of tech to it. So I imagine like speedrunners. I mean, it's quite ironic I'm playing it when like GDQ is on. I imagine GDQ in like January.
Right.
This is going to be on the docket, and people are going to be doing insane things that I couldn't even
It,
thought of
it's
because the tech in this game is just insane. The movement tech and the speed tech is crazy.
but it sounds like it
Momentum and
ramps the right way, so it's kind of like. I mean, this is
yeah,
not a disparaging remark, but like Baby's First Speedrunner in the sense of like
yeah,
it makes you get why this is appealing, and also it gives you the tools to feel like you're doing that, even if so long as you don't look at like, oh, these people, the people who do this
mhm,
for a living will obviously
mhm.
like figure out more things, but you can see how that sort of, at least the glitch free speedrunning area of speedrunning, this is like
Yeah.
a taster for, hey, because that's like the premise of, I'd say, the meta game, sort of the reason
Mhm,
why you would
mhm,
want to
mhm.
keep playing this game. It doesn't sound like is just to do the levels once and get through the game. That doesn't
Yeah,
seem like the
yeah,
point.
absolutely. It's like, I mean, when you consider that I've not aced, if not aced, like got gold on every single level. Well, not every single level, most levels,
Right.
probably 90% of them first time round, and levels take what 20 seconds, you know.
Right.
And I've been playing this game for 20 hours. It
Aha.
shows,
Gotcha.
yeah, yeah, it shows that it's like the enjoyment in this game is, you know, trying to get better times and optimizing levels and stuff like that. Yeah, it's really good. It's yeah, as you say, baby's first speedrunning game, I guess.
I
But
mean, I said that with all the
no, no,
kindness and
yeah,
like,
yeah,
yeah.
no, because it's a really approachable one. Like, because I played the demo because I wasn't sure whether I'd get on with not only my motion sickness, but like I'm playing on the Steam Deck, and it's like, do I need to? Is this game locked out of me because I'm not very good at mouse and keyboard?
Mm.
Do I need to play on that? But it's like no, and it's fine on
Controller.
on controller on joysticks. It's very responsive. I didn't even have to like toggle like any of the settings because I imagine on the Steam Deck, the settings are default to mouse and keyboard, and it's not.
Yeah.
You can play on controller, but it's probably not optimized for controller. Let's say you might have to go into the settings or something like that. But I didn't have to. It's like everything just felt responsive, like
Nice.
swinging the camera around and everything like that. And it runs like a dream on Steam Deck, like no
Oh,
slowdown or no hitching, nothing wrong with the frame rate. It's excellent.
uh,
But
so
yeah, you don't need to be. I mean, obviously, if you want to, get number one spot or whatever in the global leaderboards, you probably need to play it on mouse and keyboard. But that shouldn't be, um, you know, uh, shouldn't preclude you from playing it if you're only playing it on console.
right.
Especially when the the character is floaty, and usually that's meant as a pejorative, but it's
Hmm.
not in this case. It you have a kind of like, what do they call it? I think they call it like coyote time in like games where it's like, okay, you do something a second off, but the game accounts for that, and it makes it seem seamless. Like
Right.
when you do a late jump, but it's like no, it gives you that little bit of
Oh, yeah, yeah, yeah.
leeway. Yeah, this is floaty, and it feels like it's accounted for like just degrees of imprecision, where it's like, okay, we know you meant to do that. We're just gonna do it for you anyway. Um,
It's like local
so,
netcode.
yeah, yes, but yeah, it feels like it's so intuitively designed to like cater to the player, and it's like, just be a bit more forgiving. But that
Right.
like kind of floaty, uh, gravity to the character means that it's a bit more forgiving, and you can like, move in midair and like change your direction, change your momentum, and stuff like that. Whereas like in games where it's like, okay, just heavy gravity to the character, it's like you can't, you know, um, change something up, during the movement. It's like you're very committed to it. Whereas this, it's like you spend a lot of the time floating in the air and stuff like that, and you can maneuver, very easily, even once you've committed. So yeah, it's very approachable in that way.
Oh, that sounds great. I had two questions. One
Hmm.
was uh in so there's enemies, but from what I understand, they're like they don't like move around so much.
No, they're pretty static.
But is
They
that
will
a clearing
some
condition?
enemies. Yes, you have to kill all the
Yeah.
enemies
Okay.
in the level. Otherwise, it doesn't count as, it's a DNF.
Right.
Um, yeah, some of a lot of the characters are static. A lot of them don't move. Some of them will shoot at you and stuff like that. But yeah, you have to kill all the demons, as they're called in the level. But yeah, yeah, it's all about optimizing. Okay, instead of going over here to kill that one, can I snipe him from over here? And
Hmm.
gosh, there are some really good levels where it's like you feel like a genius when you figured it out. It's like, okay, I don't have to go all that way and do this, extra part of the gauntlet. I can like just snipe him from like over here. And like I think on one level I got an ace medal straight away. And the character usually has like that you're playing as. I'll get to the story in a bit.
Hmm. That was my
Um,
second question. So that's you
yeah,
preempted
we'll leave
me.
the bad parts to the end, I guess. But the character has like a little quip, and when I got an ace medal first time round, it was like, yeah, 360 no scope or whatever, and I was like, oh,
Oh,
that's
that
quite
just feels
nice.
great.
That's funny, yeah. But yeah, the story. Oh, I wish I had, 100% good things to say about this game, but
Hey, nothing can be perfect.
no. But this is not the fact where it's not perfect. It's very imperfect. At
Hmm.
first it was like, okay, this is very inoffensive. It's just like, there, who cares? Very meh. It's anime, and I don't like anime, but it's not the fact that it's anime why I think this is so bad. I mean, this game was made by Ben Esposito, who made Donut County, and it's like some of the writing in Donut County was a little bit memey, a bit text speak and stuff like that. But overall, I enjoyed it. If someone just came up to me on the street and said, "What do you think of story in Donut County?" I'd have positive things to say about it. It's like I enjoyed it. I enjoy some of the writing gave me a chuckle and stuff.
I was gonna
This
say I
feels
really
like,
enjoyed the writing of Donut County, so I wasn't
yeah, yeah,
expecting because you're not the only one who has had things to say
yeah,
about the narrative of this
yeah.
game.
Of the small amount of people that I've heard talk about this game, I'm not alone in saying it. But whereas it started off as like inoffensive and just very meh, I'm compelled to like read the story, and I haven't skipped over any of the dialogue. You can skip it, but I'm like, okay, I'll do it so I can at least have an opinion about it. And it's like I can't believe it's written by the same person. It feels like he made the game, made an excellent game, and then it's like, okay, we got to just shove in a story, And it feels like he got his like cousin who's like GCSE level uh English literature student to write it. It's just
Hmm.
really bad. It's like none of it brings any weight or any substance to this story. It's like because it's it's labeled as like kind of a semi dating sim where it's like, okay, the characters that you're speaking with, you can bring them gifts. There's like a present hidden in every level,
Aha.
and it's like, okay, I've gotten all of those because it's like just a extra reason to replay the level and
And why not? It's
do
a
a
good
different
game.
route.
Yeah.
Yeah, yeah, and giving someone a gift, it either unlocks a piece of dialogue with them or a side quest, and it's like, okay, I want to do the
Side
side quest.
quest.
Yeah.
I now understand the conundrum it is conjuring for you.
Yes, yeah, because I want to do the side quests because they each have depending on the character that you give the gift to, they each have their different spin on it. Like some levels you cannot use the burn ability of the cards, or some
Oh
levels it's
wow.
like you have to avoid all these different kinds of traps and stuff like that. And those are, just as well designed as the rest of the levels. But the dialogue that is unlocked when you give them a gift is just so pointless. It's like, oh, you're baking a cake with this character. They they got eggshell in the cake. Oh no.
Fucking shoot him.
And I want to shoot all the characters. I hate the protagonist. There's nothing redeeming about him, and there's like it's not even like salacious or saucy or titillating. This kind of dating sim part of it. It's just
Yeah, I
it's
wanna.
like it's like someone like early internet teenager writing like some neon white fanfic, and it's like it's really bad and really basic, and it's like I can't believe it's written by the same person who wrote Donut County. I cannot believe
I
it.
couldn't. So I heard a lot of good buzz about it before I found out about the dating sim part, and I was just like,
It's really
what?
bad.
Yeah,
It's really bad.
I'm.
It's something like Hades that we both played. It's like that was okay. I enjoyed those characters, and
I enjoyed the like the more deep angles of like reuniting the lovers
hmm
and like going deeper with specific characters because you're interested and like I'm not
yeah,
gonna 100% this game, so there was an opportunity cost of like where will I sort of spend
hmm
my resources on the narrative side, and I liked that. But that was so well written, and even
yeah, yeah,
even this like, oh, I was hoping like even if it's just like 3 screens of dialogue was always like, yep, that was worth it. I never
yeah.
felt like, oh, I fucking used my resource on that.
Yeah, yeah. It provided good flavor text, whereas it's nice to get a bit of downtime in between the levels, I guess. But it's bad, and
Yeah.
I'm coming off like after playing like Citizen Sleeper, which is probably the best writing in a video game that I've seen.
You reminded
To
me about
this,
that game.
yeah, and that game Citizen Sleeper has very good art, whereas these characters are just like
Oh, I mean, this is.
very glare anime.
I
It's
think that
so bad.
I think the art style is a choice to like conjure up Dreamcast era anime JRPG nonsense. Just
Yeah,
because
I
it's
like
like
the
that
look of the
2D
levels.
2D
Yeah,
kind of
mhm,
inky,
yeah,
very retro. Oh God, yeah, Dreamcast is retro, right? Like
yeah.
I think that's
Like yeah,
intentional.
PS1, Dreamcast kind of thing. Yeah. I love the look of the levels. Like that looks like something out of a like PlayStation 1 game, and the music does as well. It sounds like I don't know, Wipeout music. It's just that look is great, but like the interstitials with the cartoon, the anime characters and stuff like that, it's all bad. It's
Yeah, it doesn't
as
help
I was
if you
saying,
don't like the.
at first it was inoffensive, but now I just think it's straight up bad and distracting me from the actual good game, because there's been some revelations in like the story now, because it's all set in like apparently you've died and you're in like sort of like purgatory, and you get a chance to go up to heaven, and you're basically killing demons for the chance. It's sort of like uh battle royale film, 1999 film or whatever. It's like you're all competing to get to the top and ascend to heaven, but it's like that's an interesting setup. It's just everything in between that is awful, and it seems like I'm at the point where it's like, okay, everything's going to wrap up in the story soon, and actually find out what's going on. It's sort of like the Truman Show esque kind of thing. That's not a spoiler. I mean, you can tell it hints to that very early in the game, but it just seems like every piece of dialogue prior to where I am now has just been utterly pointless. I hate the characters. I won't remember it. It's only because they're called like neon white, neon yellow, neon red why I'll actually remember their names.
But will you remember which one was white, yellow, or red though?
No.
Yeah, so then you just remember a list of colors. I don't think that counts.
Yeah, they're all caricatures and tropes, and like the anime, the young anime girl who likes blood and stuff like that. It's just like, oh my god, yeah, it's really bad.
No.
But otherwise, the game is fantastic.
How? So it's. I don't like that side quests are in the same functional path.
You can skip all the dialogue. Unfortunately, you have to like keep pressing X and stuff like that. It's like a Metal Gear game where it just
Yeah, I mean
won't
that
let you
I
get to
I'm
the next
not
point.
surprised by, but
yeah, I think there should be with speedrunners especially, like this game will be patched so it's just like arcade, play all the levels,
right.
no dialogue. Because even though it's fun watching speedrunners like doing quick menuing, no one wants to do that with this game.
Oh,
yeah.
until you find out that there's a glitch that lets you like bounce through a dialogue tree or something.
Level,
yeah, and then you're like, yeah, do it again. I'm invested in skipping this stuff. That sounds great. I almost bought it earlier today, and then I was like, do I have the time? And now I'm literally have Steam open and I'm staring at my cart.
Yeah. I will say it's a really good game to like even though you're laser focused on it. This is the game that I've played where it's like sometimes like I'm focused on a game, I can't even listen to a podcast or anything like that. I've been like listening to podcasts like and heard everything these people have said and absorbed it all, just because it's like neon white has just become like subconscious. When you're doing the level it becomes subconscious, so it's like you can still like watch a TV show or listen to a podcast while doing this. It's like a completely different. It's just muscle memory at this point, where it's like it's that part of your brain. It's not the part of the brain where it's like needing cognitive thought like at the forefront of your mind.
That sounds
it's just
great.
Subconscious. Yeah, so it's like you could, listen to a I don't know.
A podcast all about craft beer and video games.
Yeah, you could listen to a audio book about something, and you'd be like, yeah, I know exactly what happened to, I don't know, Captain Wentworth in Persuasion or something like that.
Oh, good pull.
It's a very bad book. I hate that.
I've never read it.
It's awful. Play Neon White instead.
My problem now is I'm looking at my Steam cart and suddenly Citizen Sleeper has popped into it as well.
Oh, that's on Game Pass.
Is it? Oh, I couldn't find it. Is it on PC Game Pass? It didn't show up on my. Because
I
we've
know
had
I
this
played it on
problem.
Game
Wait,
Pass.
we had this problem before where it was like, oh no, it's not on PC Game Pass. It's one of the.
Is it not? I
I mean, I
tried
might
it.
be wrong. I did.
It's
I
like
mean,
a...
I was trying to not ignore you entirely.
No,
Oh
it's
no, it's
fine.
totally on Game
It's
Pass.
like
I'm just
pre-save a
blind.
game.
It just,
All right.
yeah, it's definitely on here. Cool.
Yeah,
Wow.
that's how
Well,
I played
I
it.
mean, now you've
Oh,
sold
play
me
on.
on buying Neon White.
Mm-hmm.
Purchase for
Yeah, I
myself.
mean, I've saved you money. Yeah, but yeah, I think you'd really enjoy Neon White. Like,
It sounds like my kind of nonsense.
yeah, yeah.
You can hear
So
me
yeah, you
typing
put
in
that
my
in your
PayPal
cart.
information.
I mean, it took me literally. I wonder if I could just like send you the files for the demo because it took me like less than 5 minutes to be like, I know I want this. This is great. But yeah.
Oh, for fuck's sake. I used the wrong PayPal account. And they're like, your billing address doesn't look like it matches up with your current country. Please contact support.
Oh dear.
It's me. I'm trying to give you money. For fuck's sake.
PayPal.
Um, what? Wow, we've cruised through the
I
hour.
know. Yeah.
How do
What have
I?
you been playing?
Well, yes. What have I been playing? I haven't actually played many video games. I've had like a reasonably busy week of boring health stuff. Don't worry, I'm fine. Um, and 3 stand-up comedy gigs. Which for those of you who are new to the podcast is a thing that I've been involved in on the tech slash admin side, help running a show for the past 4 years, but not really been on the stage that much. But now thanks to this past week, I've doubled my number of gigs because I had 3 and then I had 6, and that was fun and it went well. But other than that, I've been kind of only at the computer for work reasons, except of course for First Looks, where I played a little game. Oh, I had Steam. There we go. I was like, I had Steam up so I could read the description, and then I started buying a game, and then PayPal yelled at me. A game called Gordian Quest, which we got the code from the publisher, so thanks for that. And it is an epic deck-building RPG inspired by old-school classics like Ultima and D&D, using modern gaming concepts like roguelite elements and turn-based strategic combat. Lead and nurture parties of heroes, forge bonds, and discover new skills among them. Guide them to unravel the curses laid upon the lands. Blah 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 blah. Basically, you start the game and you can pick from one of like maybe 14, maybe 12 characters, which are your standard classes like warrior, rogue, bard, mage, blah blah. They have different names, but
Yeah.
it tells you that you're only picking your main character, and then you will like accrue others along the way. And in my first 2 hours, I was already at a party of 4, I think, maybe 3. So it's not like a huge decision. But basically, it is roguelite, but there's like there's skirmish mode where you're like doing online stuff. Then there's like a roguelike survive as long as you can. And then there's the campaign, which is like you show up at a town and they're like, we're overrun by the undead and we want you to help because you seemed capable on your way in. Classic RPG trope, right? I'm walking into the town and then a guard comes and says, watch out, there's zombies. And then you kill them together. And they're like, you should come with me to the guild hall because we could use your help. And then they're like, you have somehow become our top guy. Go kill all these people and restore our storehouse. But it's reasonable. I really like the art style for one. It's like a lot of like just 2D sprites popping in and out, very classic Ultima D&D style, but like really well detailed, good solid aesthetic. And basically the combat system it's like a grid of, I want to say, 4 rows and 4 columns and like 7 rows. They're kind of offset, but basically you have a grid of circles and you will start halfway in the circles and that'll be your sort of space and the enemies will sort of be on the other side of space. And then like the ranger can shoot forward And most of the time you can hit anyone in your row or one above or one below. And then as you do moves, you accrue special points. Like, so you have 3 action points at the beginning of a turn. You have initiative because it's D&D, so certain character classes will have an initiative, and then it literally rolls a d20 for each character, bad guys and good guys, and then adds their initiative modifier, and then that shows the turn order. And you can see exactly what they're going to do and where, which means you can be like, oh, that guy's going to attack in front of me, and like my weak character's there, so I want to end that weak character. I need to move that character somewhere else. So I'm going to do two moves and earn a special point to which will conjure up a shift card and shift them. But those don't always come by, so you kind of yeah, but you do have roguelike elements where you are guard, so you can play cards like dodge, which builds 5 guard, but the guard and the SP kind of last battle to battle. So if you plan it right and you have like your sort of less aggressive classes can just sort of stock up movement points, and then you can only if you're sort of more cautious, that means in a really bad fight you can kind of make sure they never get hit by using up the points you stored up from previous battles. But then it's basically like I played as a warlock, so they had magic attack, can shoot anything, and then they can do bleed damage, burn damage, chill damage. Very similar, all these things, but it's all based on a deck. So each character has a deck. So after you have your initiative, you first character is up, and you'll be like, okay, I have 5 cards, and I have 3 action points, and they all have costs, and I want to do them strategically in the right order, and, kind of like that card game I think you watched me stream with, like, the animals.
Yeah, the one with the animals, yeah.
Yeah, so,
that was fun.
yeah, very similar sort of layout as that, but a little more complex battle system, because you sort of get multiple character classes right away, and they have very extensive things. But what's really interesting, what I liked, is there's a level of complexity right off the bat, which is you pick your character, and then it says choose your starter deck, and then there's 4 different decks you can pick. One is the like all around warlock, the other one's like bloodbender or whatever, and it's like it's a third of the same cards as the warlock class starter deck, but also a bunch of cards which are like specifically bleed related, so bleed status effect related. And then there's like a totem-y thing where it's like you conjure up traps and totems into spaces, and basically if something jumps into them, they'll get bleed damage by being in that square. So you can kind of preempt the enemy's movements. And so almost every class has a kind of a environmental subcategory. But basically, it's kind of like WoW and all these other games where there's like 3 different specializations. And when you first pick a character, you can pick all around or pick specializations. And as you level them up, you can get cards from. You basically spend a skill point in your skill tree to unlock new card. And then you're like, I want a new card from this specialization. And you get a random one. So you're not sort of guaranteed to get the ultimate build, because it's still, RNG like D&D always is. It's really fun, and the story was nothing to write home about so far, but like intriguing enough, because I don't know what's going on, and there's 4 continents and then a weird portal. It shows you the world map. Clearly the campaign is that long, and I'm curious about it, and I'll probably play more of it. I know we're, near the end of the episode, so I don't want to talk too much about it, but basically...
I mean, it looks like you could talk... I mean, it looks very dense mechanically. So.
Yeah. Basically, I don't want to go too deep, because then I'll just talk for 20 minutes. But what I like about it is it's very easy to apprehend, but there's clearly, like, even in the first hour, I was like, oh, I could start seeing the interplay between characters, and it looks like as you level up, you might get skills that will interact with other players, other characters, like so cross skills, which I'm really interested in. But what I really like is just the flexibility off the top. So like I ended up picking the ranger class to be turret rather than just like there's like sniper and traps, and then there's just like put down a giant artillery and it'll shoot something, and then chain anything like adjacent to it will also get hit. And then it has cards that are like improved ammo for my turrets, and so like the siege weapon is good against groups, and the arrow weapon turret is good against single hits, but you can kind of but they just stay there and they aggro enemies, and like that's a really interesting way of like mages want to kill it, and so you're not getting any damage because that's going away at the end of the thing. So there's some like a couple times I just threw a turret down as like a distraction because I figured out that the AI would want to kill it, and then I wouldn't have to. I didn't need to use it as a weapon. I used it as a trap, which I found really interesting just because I learned a bit about the AI. So it's like a very deep mechanical system. I'm also curious about, so you earn something called renown, and you can spend that on getting artifacts and like upgrades basically. But you can also earn renown in the like roguelike runs, which I think is a really interesting way of tying the modes together. Because then it's like, oh, I'm actually not doing well in the campaign. Well, you can just, instead of being grinding the same shitty campaign levels, you can do the other stuff, which will have their own layers of randomness, so it shouldn't be boring, and that will still give you rewards that will help you get past further in campaign, which I think, as long as it's not needed to do that, is a really nice way of avoiding the RPG grind of, oh, my skill level doesn't quite match where the game is, and now I just have to bash my head against it and hopefully level up. Instead, I can just do something else for a while, and then it'll help me level up. But yeah, that's Gordian Quest. I recommend it for anyone who likes turn-based strategy and cardy games.
This is definitely one of those.
Yeah.
But the art style's great. I really like the look of it.
And like I said, being able to get that many characters off the start, but also know that like you'll find them along the way, is a really nice touch. I don't know if the ones you find on the way are randomized or whether it's like you will always unlock the cleric. But even then, it was really fun to be like, oh, it's my third character. If I was doing this run for optimization, I would use the cleric as a healer because I have no healing capacity. But instead, I'm going to go super aggro because the stream is ending in 20 minutes and who cares? But also, you could probably do that. Like I don't think it didn't feel, at least in the rest of the rest of that run or my time with the game, because it wasn't a run, that I was going to get punished for not doing the safe route of get a tank, get a healer, etc. Yeah, so I really enjoyed it. I'm gonna play more of it, which doesn't always happen when I do a first looks, obviously. And so yeah, good game. Would recommend.
It looks right up your alley. Yeah, I'm very intrigued by the characters. There's like animals.
Yeah, like I picked the warlock, which seems to be like
Yeah.
a cat man.
Yeah.
Everyone else is a human, and the warlock's like, I'm inexplicably a cat. Don't
Yeah, but
ask.
this woman just turned into like a kind of bear slash
Yeah, that's the druid class.
mountain lion yeti. Yeah.
Yeah, the druid classes. So I was really split between druid class because then I could change into things, or warlock, which again I called it. I'm like, oh, it's because it says each of the classes complexity 1, 2, or 3 stars, and I'm like, I'm on the like very beginning. I'm like, warrior complexity 1. I'm like, oh, complexity 3 stars. I guarantee you, I'm not gonna pay attention to that and be like, this is the class I'm interested in the most, and it'll be number 3. And sure enough, warlock was number 3. And then I was like, maybe I'll play a number 2, which was druid, because that sounds cool too. I was like, nah. I want to.
Ida level 3 druid turned
Yeah.
into Ida level 3 bear form. So
Oh, so yeah, so I did
up.
druid, was like this close. If I was to start again, I would start as a druid, I think, just to see, because I didn't bump into it. But again, that's the nice thing, is it pretty much telegraphs that by the end you'll be able. I'm sure, assuming you'll have a limited number of characters to take. I doubt you're gonna have all 12. Because that would use up all your spaces. Like, I actually noticed that because I had played a level with 2 NPCs, my main character and two on my team, and I was like, oh, I can't move. And then on the map there were obstacles, like we had barricaded ourselves, and it was like, oh, I can't do a lot of moving, especially if I suddenly drop a turret. Oh, this is super interesting, because like what happens if a level has waves of enemies? So as you kill the enemies, more ones just run in. So you're always on the same static map. but you might have to kill 20 guys. It's just you're going to kill them 3 at a time. Which I like because it keeps the core strategy simple in the sense of you have to conserve your resources, but you're never like, I'm not going to get overwhelmed by there's 5 guys in a row hitting this one person, they're just going to die, right? So anyway, that's Gordian.
What I really like, I didn't see your quick look. What I'm watching is just like the footage on like Steam. What I really like, just from an accessibility standpoint, is that when you click on a card, it just draws this really big fat arrow onto where you want to put it, and it's like I like that. So you can just clearly see what you're applying it to.
You've brought my biggest complaint, which isn't a big one, but like, so you click on a card and it starts an arrow, and then you go and you drag your mouse, and that's like, where do I want to clink it? But you see how all the people are standing on circles? Guess what the hitbox for using a card is?
Is it the actual character itself?
No. It should be. It should be the circle and the character. Instead, it's just the circle. So I drag it to my dude, and then I'm like, nah, what's going on?
Okay, that's not as good.
Yeah. I mean, it clearly should. Like, when you touch the circle changes color. I'm going to use this card on this. But then you're like, but the first time I did it, I was very confused because the circle would bling up, and then I'd go to the chest or the head, and then the circle would stop being, and I was like, oh, am I not allowed to I literally said on stream, oh, am I not allowed using this card on this person? I'm pretty sure it's like dodge. What am I doing wrong? And so that was
so close.
Yeah.
It's been really good.
And there's basically, I fought with the UI in a couple of small places, which was like, again, I feel like maybe they had limited QA testing and were too worried about bugs, but the UI is just like that type of cumbersome in a few other places, and it was just like, this is, I'm not trying to be nitpicky, but this is just like so easily solvable and should just be.
And considering it was in early access, you would have thought these things would have been picked up.
Yeah.
So.
But yeah,
well, hopefully, I mean, if they're in early access, they know how to patch the game. So it's like,
yeah, I mean, this is version 1.0. But I was a bit disappointed with those things because, again, those are very easy.
Yes.
But also, yeah. Same with like if you click on a character in the row, it shows their deck if they're one of yours. But then when you click away, you're still under that person, even though it's not their turn. And the only way to get to the character who's active is to go click on their face at the beginning of the turn row. Which, again, I feel like click on a person, hover over their cards, click anywhere on the map, reset me, is a very simple thing that would be intuitive. Or hit escape. Escape doesn't do it, right? Like some sort of not, hunt them on the line again. But what I do like is most of the weird keywords, as you hover over a card, pop up in a tooltip to the right. What does bleed mean? What does burn mean? Versus like some games were like chill for 4, and you're like, what does that do again? I haven't used this card in a long time. But yeah, so there's upgrading cards and all that stuff, but it's real fun. Yeah. So, Lucy, you said it was your favorite West Coast IPA. Do you stand by that now that it's gone?
It's not all gone.
As I say, it's impressive. One that's like
very, very easy
to nurse.
Well, yeah, to nurse. Plus, I was babbling on about Neon White.
Yeah, that's fine.
But yeah. It's really good beer. It's really good. It's really. I'm gonna pick up a few more of these if I can on my next visit to the beer shop. Because, just really thirst quenching. It's got a really nice bitterness. I think I've acclimated to that as I've been drinking it, and it's just still got a decent, long-lasting taste. Nice and earthy, nice and juicy, moorish, just all the good things that you can get in beer. It's very good. How's the porter going?
It kind of stayed exactly where I described it. I think it melded a bit more together by the end as my palate got accustomed to it. So that oaky vanilla was sort of filled in a bit, was less sort of on top as I described it, and just is more of the taste. So really like that. Again, that it just has this nice, rich, chocolatey character to it without being chocolate. And all those malts are just kind of nice. Just a really easy to drink porter, but not one that's like simple. I would fully recommend getting the Oak Age Vanilla and Chocolate Porter from Var Var and Garden Brewery. Yeah, really excellent, especially for if someone's like on the fence with dark beers. I think that would go really well because it's definitely a dark beer, but it doesn't have like, it's really much closer to the chocolate than the coffee, and also there's like no real roasted notes to it. It's much more on the sweet side, especially being balanced out with that vanilla. So if you are worried about like acridity, you're not going to find it in this porter, which is great.
Yeah. And anyone who's on the fence about dark beers in general, just drink anything from Eastern Europe, and
That's
you won't be
very
anymore
true.
because they're great. Yeah,
Yeah, they know what
they
they're
know how
doing.
to do them best.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, that'll do us for this episode. If people wanted to harass you / find out good strats for Neon White, how would they reach you, Lucy?
Or hit me up on Steam. I need people to compare my leaderboard to. It's Juicy Loose 9 everywhere.
Yeah. I'm
gonna get my Steam code because I want to drop that in a forum I found for similar sad people like me who want to compare Neon White scores.
Amazing.
Have no friends.
Great.
And then I'll realize that it's like, oh, I'm very bad at this game, and then I'll just unfriend them all. So.
Yep. Man, they could give you strats.
No, I want to be the best.
With no help.
Yeah, with no help and no skill, playing with controller on the platform that's meant to be mouse and keyboard.
Yeah, they're definitely gonna be like, oh yeah, here's a strat. Use a fucking real controller device.
Yeah.
Input device is what I meant to say.
PC Master Race.
Yeah.
Apparently the times on Switch are lower, so it's like, or higher rather. There are some
I got you what I meant. Yeah.
They're adjusted for crappy little Fisher Price Switch.
Nice.
Instead of big boy PC.
The Switch.
Yes.
Baby's first Steam Deck?
Yes, I like
that. You can find me and my quips at the Omniarch. You can find us at Tanked Up Cast. Please, if you enjoyed this or have stuff to tell us all, you can reach us at tankedupcast@gmail.com. We are, as a part of the Out of Lives Network, you can see all our stuff, including my First Look VODs and other articles and stuff in pop cultural ephemera at outoflives.net, or find us on YouTube at Out of Lives Network, and here on Twitch, Out of Lives Network. Yeah, that's all the places. If you're on Twitch, thanks for tuning in. Subscribe, follow, do all the things. Stay tuned, because you get to watch the next episode right away, while our friends on YouTube can comment with an emoji whether you like the fact that you have to wait 3 days when Twitch doesn't. That's called interaction. We want it, because it helps on the algos. That's us for this week. Ciao.
Bye.
www.outoflives.net